Just a month to go before the grand Ram temple in Ayodhya witnesses the consecration ceremony, and a day after that, the devotees will be able to go for the Ramlala darshan inside. And joining me is none other than Ashish Sompura, the architect who has designed the Ram temple in Ayodhya. That has taken many, many decades for this dream to be fulfilled. In fact, Ashish and his father and brother have worked together on this, and his father has been associated with the design of the Ram temple that we see today in a different form, a smaller version, since the late 1980s when the Ram Janmabhoomi movement was at its peak. Ashish, thanks a lot for speaking to us. How excited are you? Barely a few weeks to go before the doors are thrown open to the world.
Very excited because it's since a long time we are waiting to happen this, and we all are with the family and everyone was anxious when it's going to be. When you design something and it's going to be created, and it is the most precious moment for the architect because your design is going to be in reality, and this such a big project and such a big thing which is happening with connected with the people, the dharma, the politics, everything. It has been the whole thing with in the minds of all the people. So obviously, it's a great moment for us.
I will come to your family's connection, which is a long 30, 40 decade connection to the Ram temple in just a bit. But before that, a lot of our viewers who may not be able to go for the consecration ceremony or even for the darshan very soon would be very keen to know what is there as far as this Ram temple is concerned. Now, obviously, the outer structure, the design, everybody has seen. This temple is built in the Nagar Shaili, which is one of the three Shailis adopted in India. Can you tell us a little bit more about what does that mean? What is this Shaili and what features does it have in design?
Yeah, basically, if I can say, there is total overall, if you can say it's in very ancient India, it was 16 Shailis in all over the India, which has been spread throughout the Bruhad India, you can say, where the most of the even Pakistan and everything like that, there was a 16 Shailis. Now, though in the present time, only three Shailis which has been, you can see and can visualize is Nagar Shaili, it's Vasera, and it's Dravidian Shaili. Nagar Shaili is basically practiced in the northern Indian side, like Gujarat, Rajasthan, MP, UP, and all. And the middle India of the like Orissa, Bengal, that's belt, it is what Vasera. Because if you see in the Shikhara designs are completely different in Orissan style. It is a single structure with a single kalasha, and in a Dravidian style, which is completely a different style, which is Trampali stole, and the concept is completely different from northern side and in southern side, because we believe the God is the biggest. So our Shikhara is always tall, the tallest portion of the temple, or if you can say the complex, is Shikhara. In southern India, which they call as the Sansar, the whole world is a big, and you go through a small thing which is called God, which is the truth. So their temples are really small. If you see, the Gopurams are big. So this is the basic conceptual difference, and other things which has been developed by the architects of the olden things, what they have thought of, and the Shailis has been, built. But if you can say, the Nagara Shaili is the most developed in architecturally. Articulated wise, the most developed Shaili is Nagar Shaili, which is practiced. And from the beginning, if it is practiced in the old northern side, so that was the of that thing that the Nagar Shaili should be adopted in this particular temple of Shiva. And it is a little bit different in Nagar also, because in Nagar Shaili also there's only the Garbhagriha shapes are always square or something like that. But this is an octagonal shape has been taken because of the two things, because the octagonal shape is connected with the Vishnu, and Rama is the Vishnu's avatar.
Right.
So shape has been taken, and even Shikhara has been developed in the same shape. So look-wise, it's completely different than normal other temples.
So I had the fortune to visit the Ram temple recently, a few weeks ago. So there are 3 mandaps in a row before the Garbhagriha, and there are 2 mandaps on the side. So 5 mandaps in total. There is a Rang mandap, I believe. There is a Guru mandap. So tell us more about the mandaps and what is the concept behind these?
Basically, there was like in an older design, what Dad has been created in 90s, that was only Garbhagriha, Guda Mandapa, and Ranga Mandapa.
Hmm.
So that was the only thing. And the Sindhwar, the Chowki was there
Hmm.
at the time. But after the long time has been gone and the media and everyone has been built and the people also is, uh, starting liking the whole idea of the Ram Mandir. Everyone was anxious to see the how Ram Mandir is going to be. Though we thought the footfall will be much more than
Hmm.
any other thing.
Hmm.
So it was been like taken like the footfall. The ground floor area should be increased.
Hmm.
Because at the time, the first design also have two stories.
Hmm.
Ground floor is going to be a Ram Lalla, and on the first floor is going to be a Ram Darbar, the
Yes.
Darbar.
Hmm.
So at that time also that was there, but after the time has gone, almost 30 years has gone past after that. So it was like thought of that the design also should be bigger
Hmm.
because of the footfall area. So we have just increased in the thing like two mandaps on the sides and one more mandap on the front itself. So
Hmm.
again, after the Rang mandap, there's going to be a Nritya mandap.
Hmm.
The sides we have again increased the floor area like Kirtan mandap and Prasna mandap. Like if you see in a normal days, like in a big, very at the time where the public, the people, the devotees of a very large volume, then it's not going to be a time for the people to just stay or something, do something, because it's just
Hmm.
you just move and just do the darshan. But in a normal day where the people are not that much of a people,
Hmm.
where so at that time, if someone wants to do just prarthana in the temple, so that's a special manda for them. Just
For
go
that,
there
yes.
and do the prarthana. And other people who are for going for the darshan, they doesn't disturb. You know, sometimes you
Hmm.
go to a temple and people are sitting on the floor and just doing prarthana, which disturbs your movement.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Even other temples, we have seen that sometimes it's going to be a month's kirtan, long time
Hmm.
kirtan is going on, all that stuff is going on the same. So for that also we have created one
A
mandapa,
separate mandap.
a separate mandapa, where you just go and do the 24 hours kirtan or whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
The darshan with those all those activities which has been done in the temple, even though your normal darshan
Hmm.
won't affect anything. So
Yeah.
that's creative that. And then the podium was obviously there at that time also, but we have just make it bigger podium.
Yes, absolutely. I want to ask you about the Garbhagriha. I saw that the Garbhagriha was octagonal. It has marble walls, and there's a lot of nature that has been depicted on the walls. So, does that also come from some sort of ancient form?
Yes, basically, if you see in a normal at that time in the older architecture, if you see in an older temple, this is only a plain designs
Hmm.
because the concentration should be there. But nowadays, it's been practiced that the wall of the Garbhagriha should be in a certain way, the carving it should be then. So we have thought of that Rama leaves a lot of time in one, you can
Hmm.
say,
Hmm.
nature. So
Hmm.
why don't the Ram Lalla, it has to be taken in that particular form, like
Hmm.
surrounding the nature. So where
Yes,
whole the bale, the patti, fool, and everything is there surrounding him, and he's sitting in the center.
in the center. Yes. You've talked about the mandaps and all, and there are, I think, tens of pillars. And all pillars, there are at least three carvings.
Yeah,
Uh, so what is the
iconography. That's the layers of iconography. Three layers of
yes?
iconography.
So what is the inspiration behind that? I saw there were nitya dancers on some of the pillars, etc. What are the kind of different murtis that have been carved or iconography that has been done on the pillars and the walls?
Basically, we thought of like there are, if you can say, the design of a column, particularly, there are simple volumes, simple architectural design, then the more articulated one, which is just an depicting of a nature, and third is with the iconography. So we have just chosen the best is iconography with the iconography. So there are three layers in the
Hmm.
column. On the top layer, it is going to be Apsharas Devanganas, which is
Hmm.
predicted on the top layer, which shows with the every mandap, the concept
Hmm.
is different. If it is a Kirtan mandap, so then the Devangnas were doing, the playing music instruments, all that stuff. Even in a Pratna Mandap, they are just praying moments and all that stuff. In the Nritya Mandap, they are doing dancing and all that. Those figures been depicted in a Ranga Mandap, Ranga which has been played in the normal life. So that normal day routine doing Devangnas were there. And on the good mandap, which is also there. So those kind of Devangnas, which has been, inviting the people, which is doing the prarthana, all that kind of Devangnas and Apsaras were predicted on the topper level, and the middle level, which are the larger one. So on that particularly, we concepted, it's like basically giving the whole Sanatan Dharma's God. All gods should be predicted. So Shiva is there, the Ganesha is there, the many form you will see of Ganesha, many form of Hanumanji. In the main Gada Mandap, which is just near, where you can see the columns have 10 Dashavatars on the column. So that kind of a thing, if people will go there, our concept is basically people will go there, they understood the whole Sanatan Dharma, which is what gods and goddesses are. Basically, so those kind of a thing. And on the bottom layer, we have goddesses. So all the goddesses you'll see on the bottom layer of that column. So just everything, if one enters the temple, which will have a complete entire scenario of a Hindu and Sanatan Dharma depiction.
The entire Hindu universe has been depicted inside the temple. And interestingly, it's not just the temple. There's actually a parkota going around the temple, which is where people will do parikrama. And I was there, and Mr. Nipendra Mishra, who's overlooking the construction of the temple, was telling me that this parikrama or this parkota is actually coming out even costlier than the temple itself. And in that parkota, you will have around the temple, on the temple walls, you will have Valmiki Ramayana depicted on the walls. And inside...
No, not on the wall of that parkota. It is basically the Ramayana.
On the temple walls.
On the temple's plinth wall, you can say. It's a double plinth of a temple. So on a first plinth, which is just connecting the lower on the ground, on the area, that wall is going to be depicted with the Valmiki Ramayana, three-dimensional statues you will going to see on that particular area. It is like 2.5 feet depth, which is 3D carved, you can say. It's not just depicted on the wall. It's not a mural work kind of a thing. You'll see a Rama is standing with a complete statue. The individual statue doing the Rama. So that kind of a depiction of Valmiki Ramayana was there on the lower plane. There's going to be... It's a very long process, and we don't want to go for people who have seen the normal pictures of Ramayana. You will see in many of the books. But the trust, the Swamiji, who is a trust also, they want to be completely different. So from the Valmiki Ramayana, what is the depiction of that particular prasang that is taken, and from that the artist is painting the whole scenario. From that painting, we are going to make a clay model. Then from clay model, if we consider like it's okay, then from that is going to be a fiber model and then transferred to the stone. And that stone, carved stone will be going to place there, and you'll see the complete Ramayana on the plate. On the pakota, like if you say, you mentioned the pakota was coming up for the two different reasons. Reason was the security of the temple. It is going to be a completely...
an outer wall.
Yeah, around the temple, they want a complete closed wall circulation. So they make it, they call it parkota, basically in a local language. So we want a parkota. So we just thought of like, not only the parkota is going to be a wall. It's going to be let's make it a very beautiful thing, which people, if you're passing through that, you'll experience everything. So the wall is closed and the inner side wall is completely open, which is looking towards temple.
The temple.
While you are doing pradakshina, you will see a wall on the side, and on the other side is going to the temple. So on the wall, it is again, it's a blank wall, doesn't mean anything. So again, the committee, the experts have come up with the idea like, why don't you just predict a Sanatan Dharma, complete Sanatan Dharma on that particular walls with brass murals. So people will also know while, doing the Parikrama also, they will feel that the Sanatan, what is Sanatan? So all that stuff is going to be placed on
The
that
message of Sanatan
message
Dharma
of Sanatan Dharma will be predicted on the brass murals on the walls of particular
on
that.
the wall.
And also, Parkota has 6 temples.
Hmm.
And that pagoda, you'll find 6 temples, and which is related to the Vishnu, the Panchayatan, Vishnu Panchayatan, you call it.
Hmm.
5 temples of that. And the 6th one is of Annapurnama. Because on the northern side, when we have started this designing and all that stuff, on the northern side of the temple, there was a Sita Rasoi. Very old building was there. So it's called a Sita Rasoi. So we just also placed the temple, particularly for gods, which has been the Bhog. So that has been prepared there, and where even Annapurna Ma's temple is going to be there.
Right, right. And actually, in the entire complex, there are going to be other temples as well, connected to Lord Ram's life as well. I went there, and it's a very large complex. But of course, everybody's first waiting for the temple to be, to be open and for them to be able to see how great it is. I want to touch upon your family's history. A lot of viewers may not know that actually this basic design was first made in 1989-90 when the VHP first connected with your father to design the Ram temple. Nobody at that time knew when the Ram temple would be a reality. So it's a real testament to the faith of a lot of people who have waited through the legal process and more, and the politics around it. 30 years later, it's becoming a reality. But you've only expanded on that design, but the core design is still the same. And work on a lot of the stone in your workshop was ongoing for all of these years, with no date in sight of when the temple is going to be a reality. And much of that same stone has been used today. The stone that people used to go to Ayodhya and worship, that stone is actually being used in the current Ram temple. So it's a glorious history of 30, 40 years.
Yes, definitely. It was like been started in 1989, 90s. Suddenly one day, dad has just a call of Birlaji, because our family is connected with Birlaji. A lot of Birla temples has been made, and that those designs done by my family only. My grandfather, my great grandfather, we are connected with them with the JD Birla time. So we are doing all the temples of Birlas, and Ashok ji was knowing two Birlas. So at the time, Ashok Singhal was the main person who has started about the movement. So he has just said, like, who designed your temples, like in Birlas? So Birlaji suddenly said, like, it's the Sompura family in Ahmedabad who is designing all the temples for us and all that stuff. And he said, like, why don't you call him? We want to make one temple in Ayodhya. In the disputed area of Ram and all that stuff. So straight away, Birlaji has called dad, and the meeting was fixed in first in Delhi, and then just they traveled to Ayodhya. And Ayodhya at the time is just an military, the camp kind of a thing. Nothing has been taken. No, even not a pencil. You will go with a paper and pencil or anything. So even Ashokji was not allowed to go there. So he just went there and said, like, Dad, why didn't you go there? Just see, just look around and take a measurement. How you are going to take it, I don't know, but take a measurement of this area. And we want to build a temple here on those disputed land. So why don't you measure it and make some options for us? So dad just went inside, and with a lot of, because at the time also, they don't want to go beyond the pathway of the people. Even though they requested people like, nahi, just me, mujhe dekhne dijiye and all that stuff. And they just measured with the leg, the steps.
Yeah, he measured by his feet.
Steps. Yeah, by his feet. So that measurement is be taken at the time. I think 2.5 acre was the land which was disputed. So that land has been measured by dad with the foot. And after coming from that, he has prepared 3, 4 options and alternates of the temple with this different concept. And this concept at that time was been decided by the VHP and everything. And a wooden model was made at the time. And that was presented in Kumbh. I think 92, 93, there was a Kumbh Mela, and in Kumbh Mela, it was presented in front of the sons of all. And everyone was given blessings to that particular design. So VSP was also happy that this is going to be there. at the time, and they started then collecting the 1 rupee, that token they have taken at that time. And we started with the whole, that design and the carving on the stone, and everything was started in that time. So in the initial time, it was completely speeding up a work, like from 92 to almost 96. The almost 30% you can see, about 50%, 50,000 cubic feet of a stone which has been carved also and placed there. Because at that time, the thinking of that times people was like suddenly we get the land, we'll just place it, stones like a jigsaw puzzle, and just make at least garbhagriha. So, after that, one is going to be disturb that particular structure. So that way it was planned at the time, but nothing was happening since 96. And after that, even the whatever the resources been with the VHP was less. So the work with the contractors we have given, that has been taken off also. Then everything is been collected in the Karyashala. And they don't want to stop the work. So for 15, 16 carvers were there in the Karyashala and just doing the work all the time. So our visits will be periodical to the Ayodhya, like this work we're looking, but very slow work is going to be there. So it was a very long time, and it has become an issue of just a political time, like for the election, the issue come up, and then it suddenly goes down. So everything was like in the family, like it's going to be happen or not, we don't know. Like it's a
Yes, I don't think many people believe that this would be a reality in their lifetime.
yes.
But
So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but the faith of the public was such that a lot of people used to come to the Karyashala and actually worship those stones because their belief was that this will eventually become the temple.
Yes, definitely. The people were very positive about this to be happen, because at the time the Shilas that from all the Indian been collected also there. Then so in people's mind is going to be there, but when no one knows.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knows. It's going to happen. Everyone was there. It's going to be happen. But no one knows when it's going to be there. But so people were going to the Karyashala and looking at the stone, and they were like, okay, this is the stone which is going to be, going to put in the Ram Mandir. So they were worshipping it, and like, okay, like we have touched. We don't know when it's going to be placed on the temple, but at least we have touched that particular stone.
We have seen at least the temple in some form.
In some form. So that was, and at the time when we extended the design also, that the time the trust belief was also that like people have worshipped this stone. So we have to use this stone. It's not going to be we are not going to completely, throw up the stone anywhere or something like that. You have to use this. Each stone will be placed in the temple because it has been worshipped by the
people. And you didn't want to change the design too much either, because that design had been seen by the public for many, many years.
Yeah, many years, and that was the design was been they have printed one pamphlet of side view of the temple, that model, and Ram Mandir. So that was been even placed in any of the people's Ghar Mandir. They are looking at that temple, and even whenever this issue is coming up in the media and the newspaper, anything, that photo is always there. So the design, the Ram Mandir's image was there. So we don't want to change that image. So there's both things. It's no, they don't want to change the image, and they want to use the stone of that particular part.
Stone, absolutely.
So this is the extension of that older design, you can say. This is not a completely new design. It's been extension of the older design.
Absolutely. I want to ask you in conclusion, what did you make of the pressure? Did you feel a lot of pressure of the expectations of the public because, there are so many people's faith involved? Was there pressure on your family, your father, you yourself? There has been some criticism of the design as well, I've seen on social media. Is there pressure on you? Have you felt it through the years?
Basically, our family is into this the temple designing since generations. You can say I might be the 14th or 15th generation who is doing this. So it is practicing in our family, and it's in our blood. We know what the temple design is, and what the Shilp Shastra says us that we are doing it. So people who are questioning about those things, and they don't know the real meaning in what the Shilp Shastra is given. But we know at least we know what we are doing is the right thing. So if you are on the right path, nothing will, have any kind of a pressure, any kind of a dar, you can say, while designing the things. So it is not obviously that in this particular project, in other projects, it's like normal. Whatever we say, it's a truth. The normal other projects, but this is a public domain project. So people have, we have to answer them, all the people, what their doubts are. But we know we are on the right path and we are doing according to the Silp Shastra. So we are not doing anything wrong. So,
Okay.
I think, but
All
it's
right.
seriously a pressure of a people of this much of a faith. But the design, when the design has been out, all the people were happy. And I think the people are liking the design, what we have designed right now. So,
absolutely. They're just looking forward to looking at the grandness of the temple now. So all the very best. And I hope you enjoy the ceremony. I'm sure you're going for the ceremony on January 22. Enjoy
yes.
the ceremony. And that's the first time that people will get to have a proper look at what the temple looks like from inside. Ashish Sompura, thanks a lot for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.